TC, if you have yet to purchase my Christmas gift, may I give you some suggestions from our friends at Parks Casino? Because I'd like any of these things.
Okay.
I like getting, and I say this to our kids every year, I like getting the gift of time. Like, what do you get me? Give me an experience, not expensive, but something we can do together.
Okay.
So Parks Casino, concert tickets, a night out to celebrate. Big and Rich on January 21.
Fun.
Comic Kathleen Madigan on January 28. Deep Purple on February 10. Comic J.R. de Guzman on February 4. Gin Blossoms. I know you love gin or blossoms.
I love them both.
Maybe you love gin and blossoms.
Together.
Yeah, but all good stuff at Parks Casino. Dine at the award-winning Parks Casino restaurants. Visit the parkscasino.com website for tickets to all the details. You can watch and wager on the soccer matches. What soccer matches would those be? At the Parks Sportsbook. Got to be 21 or older. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. So this poses a conundrum because I want to say something.
Oh, dear.
And yet I don't want to throw gasoline on the situation that I'm commenting on.
I know what you're talking about.
Well, I
agree with you.
Okay. Well, I tweeted early this morning. So what I tweeted early this morning is as follows. I hope I'm not the only one who finds it appalling that so many media are reporting on the mental health of a 14-year-old because she's the daughter of an elected official. She is not a public figure. If you retweet this, please don't add any links that further invade her privacy. Kids are off limits.
They have to be. They have to be off limits.
And it's horrible.
And yeah, my heart broke when I saw that story, and I think that people are so reacting to their feelings about the father, which is not fair.
Not fair to the kid
at all. And
she didn't pick her parent.
Nope, she sure didn't. And I I don't want to say more. I don't.
But I can't let it pass.
I know you can't let it pass.
There's no way I can let that pass without saying it's disgraceful.
I know.
Shame on them.
I know.
And in varying degrees of detail in the story. That is not a story you'll find at Smerconish.com.
No. And you're only saying it in the abstract. I think people who follow the news closely know what you're talking about. Some people responded to your tweet by saying this was the first they heard of it. I'm okay with that because you weren't naming names.
Named no names.
Right.
No name. It's on you if you go looking for it. I'm simply telling you there's a story out there that shouldn't be.
Right.
Don't go looking for it, but just know that there is, and some in the media today are exhibiting, I think, horrible behavior. There, but for the grace of God, go any of us.
Right. Yep.
And our kids.
Yep.
Terrible. Are we done?
I think we're done.
Fine.
I mean, we could. I think we could sustain phone calls about this and talk about this, but I don't want to give any more attention to it. That's how I feel.
Me too.
Okay.
Annus Horribilis. Annus Horribilis. Annus Horribilis.
I always thought it was Horribilis, but
in the
I
crown,
was picturing the queen.
But in the crown, I think it was Annus Horribilis.
And we think that's in other words, they're imitating her exactly.
Yeah, it was the queen in 1992. I know that it was like the whole Diana Charles era and Windsor burned.
Hang on, I think this
you actually have it?
The actual queen.
Okay.
Wait for it. Hang on. Oh, there she is. Wow. Oh my God.
My more sympathetic correspondence, it has turned out to be an Annus Horribilis.
Oh, wow. How many?
Horribilis.
Monarchy.
Horribilis. Hang on.
Annus Horribilis.
City, monarchy, whatever, should expect to be free from the scrutiny of those who give it their loyalty and support.
Well, it is a Trump Annus Horribilis.
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 I believe so, yes.
Annus Horribilis. Okay, how about this? Trump is having a bad run.
He's having a bad run.
He is having a bad run. Raphael Warnock, Senator Warnock, defeated Herschel Walker. Another of the Trump handpicked candidates have lost. Well, we don't talk about Carrie Lake any longer,
Who?
even though I think she's yet to concede the election. Dr. Oz, by the way, where did he sleep last night?
Where did he sleep November 9th? What are you kidding me? Come on.
Does anybody think he woke up in Montgomery County?
Comfy as can be.
Why is no one asking him that?
In NJ.
Is it just in bad taste? Like, hey, he lost. Give him some slack. That's it.
I'm surprised people didn't film him coming out of his
Absolutely.
mansion.
It's just because nobody cares because he lost.
Right.
But the point is that Herschel Walker's defeat needs to be seen in the string of a spate of Annus Horribilis events for Donald Trump. It was the Walker defeat coming at nighttime on the same day that the Trump Organization was found guilty of a tax fraud scheme. It's actually both the Trump Organization and I think it's called Trump Payroll or some such thing. I know and respect and regard as friends two of the lawyers who were involved in that case on the Trump side of the equation and sent a text and said, like, what could you have done with those facts? Because we lawyers,
right.
we carry these burdens personally as
dear.
if, we caused the outcome of a particular case. But the facts are what the facts are. You can't control the facts.
That's true.
So Trump found guilty of this tax fraud scheme from
organization.
The organization, right? And Alan Weisselberg is going to pay the penalty, and the Trump Organization will bear a financial cost, but Donald Trump faces no criminal sanction personally in this case. The lead from Reuters, Donald Trump's real estate company was convicted on Tuesday of carrying out a 15-year-long criminal scheme to defraud tax authorities, adding to the legal woes facing the former U.S. president as he campaigns for the office again in 2024. So it's Herschel Walker loses. It is the conviction of the Trump Organization, actually two Trump-related entities in that Manhattan criminal case, and you've got the January 6th committee, racing against the clock because the minute a new Congress is seated, they're out of business. They're going to issue a report before Christmas, and they are saying that they will make recommendations to the Justice Department. Nothing binding about that, but another headache nonetheless for Donald Trump. They're going to make criminal recommendations pertaining to the events of January 6th. From USA Today, the House committee investigating the Capitol attack on January 6th has decided to recommend the Justice Department pursue criminal charges, but has not yet identified who should be targeted, the chairman told reporters. Well, I think I know who they're going to say should be targeted because there have already been stories written in the Washington Post about how many members of the committee and staff think that the draft report is too Trump focused, that Liz Cheney has had an outsized influence and has made the final report, we've not yet seen it, all about Donald Trump. All about Donald Trump in much the same way that the hearings were largely about Donald Trump. So not a leap of faith is my point to say that the report I think is going to, and the recommendation is going to be focused on Trump, and they're going to say to the Justice Department, bring criminal charges against Trump. What might they be? Well, Norm Eisen is a lawyer who served as counsel to the Democratic House Committee leading Trump's first impeachment. He said he expected the recommendations to focus on two allegations: the attempt to defraud the United States through overturning the 2020 election and obstruction of an official congressional proceeding. So Trump having the Annus Horribilis is how you said it. Horribilis.
I'm very queen-like.
Trump Horribilis. Annus Horribilis. He's having a bad run and doing nothing like you would expect a candidate to do. I get that the holidays are here, but hasn't gone to New Hampshire.
Should he have waited
hasn't gone
to announce?
Iowa. Well, he wanted to hurry up and announce and try and close the door on fundraising of would-be opponents.
Right.
But they're all just like sharks circling the water and letting him do himself in.
I know.
They might not have to lift a finger. If I'm Ron DeSantis,
right.
I'm not getting anywhere near a declaration of candidacy or Glenn Youngkin. We have a story at
Yeah.
We have a story about Glenn Youngkin today.
Yeah.
Now being touted as a presidential candidate as well. So no, let Trump do himself in is the attitude. And remember this, final thought on this subject, if there are many of them on the stage, he wins the nomination.
Yep.
The trick is that he truly has to take himself out because of his legal and financial woes, because if there are, or they have to winnow the field, because if there are several of them on the stage, he wins the nomination.
They got to have self-control. Who do they want to coalesce behind?
True. Yesterday at Smerconish.com, poll results 20,291. 20,000.
I was about to say, hang on.
291.
Don't gloss over that. That's a big number.
Should a business which renders artistic services be permitted to refuse service to a gay couple? 2/3 said no. 66.86% said no, you can't refuse that service. We had great conversation yesterday about the Supreme Court argument that was Monday over the web designer who does not want to make a wedding site for a same-sex couple, notwithstanding she's not yet been asked to do so. This was sort of an anticipatory case. Pretty straightforward facts, but a complicated issue, I think, although the court seems poised to support the designer in not making the website for the same-sex couple. David Cole was a great guest on the program yesterday from the ACLU as we kicked this around, and I said to him, this is like a law school exam. This is like a lecture you'd get in con law in your first year of law school. I'll tell you what I think kind of sums up, epitomizes the arguments. It's Justice Sotomayor saying, hey, if we rule for the designer, we are expressly permitting, for the first time, discrimination by a business based on race, sex, religion, or sexual orientation. We will be greenlighting discrimination. To which Chief Justice John Roberts responds and says, if you rule against her, you're compelling her to speak. You're telling her that she needs to say things through her artistry that she doesn't agree with and that her religion doesn't agree with. I think that the court is going to distinguish between services and speech. Services being the caterer who delivers the table and chairs, speech being the cake designer, the florist. You know, as I said earlier, what about the wedding singer? Is that artistry? I don't know. We're going to find out. Poll question today, because there's another really interesting case in front of the Supreme Court of the United States. Should state courts oversee federal elections? That's a grossly simplified way of me trying to address what's at stake in the Moore versus Harper case. Simple version, it concerns something called the independent state legislature theory. In this instance, North Carolina's Supreme Court threw out a gerrymandered map, a map gerrymandered by North Carolina Republicans. The state legislature challenged the state court's authority to do so. If the Supreme Court now sides with the North Carolina state legislature, some worry that it's going to empower state legislatures to reverse presidential elections in the future with an eye toward Donald Trump. So that is the very simplistic version of what's going on in the Supreme Court of the United States today. TC, lots of headlines at Smerconish.com beyond the politics of the day on a wide variety of subjects. How about those who live to be 100?
Yeah, how about that? This was a CNBC piece about they don't eat, they're like typical Americans. And it's actually a book that I had, one of Dan Buettner's earlier books on the blue zone. And blue zones are places around the world where there are pockets of people that live longer than others. Like they live up to 100,
like
right?
in Italy, this village where everybody is...
Greece,
yeah.
like, you know, a lot of Mediterranean communities in Japan, Italy, Greece, Costa Rica, and even a Seventh-day Adventist community in California, according to the CNBC piece. The people in the blue zones live up to a decade longer than average Americans and spend a fraction of what the rest of us do on healthcare. And he's saying that there are multiple factors. It's what they eat. It's that there's a lot of more opportunities to walk. So there's a lot of movement, and somehow there's less stress in whatever the community is. There's less stress. But he was looking specifically at the diet and found that 65% of the dietary intake in those places come from complex carbohydrates. So they're eating real. They're eating whole.
What does that mean?
That means that they're eating.
By the way, is this the diet you are on?
I'm not on a diet.
What are you doing?
What are you saying to me?
People watching on
People
YouTube
are
are noting. They're saying they're watching pounds just drop off you.
You're so funny. Whole grains like corn, rice, and oats.
Notice how she didn't comment on that.
Greens, tubers like potatoes and yams, nuts and beans. So the point is they're eating from the earth, very healthy, very real, and I presume not too much.
Is pasta on that list?
So in a whole grain way. So I don't think the sort of bleached white pasta that you're having, perhaps a whole grain pasta would be okay.
Ugh.
I know. I'm sorry. Potatoes are there.
No angel hair with a marinara sauce?
Jarred.
And some bread to go with it, please.
Dip in with butter.
Of course. Like nothing. I couldn't wait.
Is that literally your ideal meal?
I couldn't wait to read the story just to see, is there anything there that I enjoy eating? And I mean, I eat these things in varying degrees,
right.
but this is not going to be my diet.
But this is like a Mediterranean diet. Think of it that way, from the earth.
By the way, these folks in this village, and I'm not saying in an incestual way, but they all they have good genes as well. They have good genes, and they marry one another.
Sure.
So
but I mean, you have good genes.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. But
you
I
always say that your doctor tells you that you were, what is it, dealt a good hand, right?
Dealt a good hand, and you've yet to screw it up.
There you go.
Although I think I'm in the process of screwing it up right
Have
now.
some more chocolate while we're discussing.
Exactly. Okay, tomorrow, an interesting news day, because Harry and Meghan's, what is the deal? It's 6 parts on Netflix, and this is the first part?
Right. So volume 1 drops tomorrow, and then they're going to drop each subsequent Thursday. 6-part docu-series.
So this is, just to remind everybody, this is the couple that needed to get out of the limelight.
No.
So they moved to California, which has per capita more television cameras than any other state in the nation. And now here comes their documentary.
They wanted to control the narrative.
Oh, this poor bastard.
What
oh my God.
Right, because he's 41 years old and doesn't control himself. Are you kidding me? Come on.
You think he wants this story out there tomorrow?
Yes. Obviously.
He looks happy to you?
What are you saying?
He should be in the Cotswolds and eating whole grains, greens, tubers, nuts, and beans.
Honestly, I can't argue with that. I wish I was in the Cotswolds right now eating greens, tubers, nuts, and
eating
beans.
those things?
Right, exactly. But no, the trailers are quite something. And but they're being, the piece that you're talking about that you have posted at Smerconish.com is talking about how
the trickery,
some of the footage seems a bit off. So there'll be a voiceover in the trailer of being stalked by the paparazzi, but it will be from like a Harry Potter premiere 5 years ago before they were married, that kind of thing.
And
so it's stock footage was used.
And that there are many who are just going to be parsing
every
single
slide,
thing,
every single frame,
right?
Every frame,
because they're good copy,
right?
They're good copy.
They're great copy.
Everybody has an opinion.
I have to watch this. I have to watch it. Are you going to watch it?
Probably.
Mm-hmm. What you got over there?
Well, can I just? This is sort of my tin of garbage that sits on one's desk.
Exactly, it's like fabulous.
My readers.
Yep.
A ruler. Some note paper that you got for me one Christmas,
I did.
Which, by the way, I love. It's just really,
it says it in purple, by the way.
It's just awesome.
The little jotters.
But notice what I keep it in.
I do. I see that tin.
My Harry and Meghan commemorative tin.
I think it originally had tea in it.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Well, they lost those titles, didn't they? Look at. Is that the funniest
I think
thing?
they're still the Sussexes,
the funniest thing
there
in the world?
It still gives you joy.
It brings me joy. I am not KonMariing.
Was that from Helen and Woody?
It may have been from Helen and Woody.
I think it might have been.
I think they gave me like the tea.
I think they did.
And I'm like, oh, this is the greatest thing.
I think so. That's amazing. Well done.
Also, this is not funny.
Not funny.
This is not funny. But one other thing just to sort of flag, and there's a background story at Smerconish.com on this. February 25, 1957, a boy between the ages of 3 and 7 found in Philadelphia dead, naked, severely beaten in a cardboard box. And some in the law enforcement community in Philadelphia have never lost sight of the case. I need to know this because I want to invite them on tomorrow. I think it's called the Vidocq Society.
Yeah, I think so too.
Either that or that's some like skull and bones thing that once
that's
rejected me from membership.
That looks at cold cases?
So tomorrow they're going to identify the boy.
Okay.
They say they've finally figured out. They've never let go of the case, and they're going to figure out and announce they're going to announce tomorrow the identity of the boy.
I found it curious that they said, I think they made this announcement last week, that we're going to announce it this week.
This week. Now we know the day.
Right. Why don't they just say it? Why didn't they just release it when they knew? What are they waiting for?
I don't know the answer to that question.
There's got to be a reason.
I
found
don't know.
Curious.
NBC 10 in Philadelphia reporting that they've identified the boy and have found his birth certificate through DNA evidence. Sad story,
Wow.
whatever it might be. Hey, there's a lot going on at Smerconish.com. Please vote on today's poll question pertaining to today's Supreme Court case. Also, Flip Padot has been a guest on the program, talking mostly about betting markets. He's a smart guy and a good guest. Unreliable oracles. The title of his exclusive content today. Prediction markets, like any markets, are real-time aggregators of information, not just of raw data, but of overlaid analysis tinged, for better or worse, with intuition and emotion. Great submission. I encourage you to write for Smerconish.com, to suggest a poll question for Smerconish.com, and to flag a story that you think we need to know about. All those links that you need are on my website at Smerconish.com. Okay, thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.